Now, the past 24 months have caused us to rethink how we have and will do education in the present as well as in the future. But these crucial months have afforded us the opportunity to reach students in the classroom and to engage families to support student achievement at higher levels in innovative ways. The educators selected for the prestigious honor of JEFCOED finalists have proven they possess that ability. You'll get a glimpse into what makes these teachers so special, and the narrative is taken directly from their applications. So first we'll meet our 5 elementary or primary finalists in alphabetical order by last name, followed by our secondary finalists. Finalists, when we show your presentation or your photos, please come forward with your principal and receive your finalist certificate and your Bell Teaching Award from Dr. Gonsolin, as well as a gift from Mr. Black and McDonald's. Ms. Sarah Ching will take your photo with the presenters, and then you can return to your table. Okay? Let's give all of our 10 finalists a round of applause. While all of our nominees have their individual strengths and accomplishments, they all spotlight teaching excellence and professionalism in the classrooms of Jefferson County Schools. We'll give our 2 winners a chance to leave you with a few brief words of wisdom that they would like to impart, and then we'll have Dr. Gonsolin close our evening with final remarks. Okay? So now we'll meet our finalists. In the primary division, we'll begin with Amanda Duckett. Ms. Duckett teaches 3rd grade English language arts at Bryant Park Elementary School. Ms. Duckett believes that when students can connect to the lesson to see the meaning behind it, they will work so much harder for the teacher and enjoy the lesson in the process. She's taught 3rd grade at Bryant Park Elementary since 2020, but has been employed by JEFCOED, for the past 17 years. She loves classroom transformations and strives to ensure that her students are having fun while they're learning. She places a high premium on building positive relationships with one another. Now we'll have remarks from Dr. Courtney Slaughter.
Good evening. It's an honor to stand here before so many educators that continue to make a difference in the educational world. For just a moment, I would like to talk about Bryant Park's Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Mandy Duckett. Ms. Duckett has been teaching 17 years for Jefferson County. I've had the privilege of working with her for the past 2 years. Here are some things that stand out and make her the educator that she is. Very few know that her daily commute is between 40 to 45 minutes one way, and that's when 280 isn't backed up with lots of wrecks. If you were to ask her why she drives so far to work each day, she would tell you that she loves her team of teachers and the community that she has given 17 years to. Proof of her love for her teachers, Mrs. Dawn Adamson, her co-teacher, is sitting with her tonight cheering her on. Miss Duckett is that teacher that will volunteer for everything, even when her plate is full. She currently serves as lead teacher, PST chair, does afternoon car line duty Monday through Friday, rain, snow, and sun, and yet somehow manages to build portfolios for the Literacy Act, improve her student data, and balance being a wife, mother, and friend. Most recently, we were on a field trip together. Several of us, myself included, were sitting in the front of the bus. As I'm attempting to watch the kids in the back, just glancing up at the big bus mirror, I noticed Mrs. Duckett. She's in the very back of the bus. I'm talking about the very last seat. And I could tell she wasn't very comfortable. But that little moment of her being in the very back was another reminder about her love for children. She didn't have to sit back there, but she chose to make sure students were safe when the rest of us were comfortable in the front. There she was, uncomfortable in the back, building those student relationships. She is that teacher that does so much and doesn't expect any recognition in return. I recently asked random colleagues to give one word to describe Mrs. Duckett, and here are the words I received: selfless, exceptional, leader, dedicated, dependable, and passionate. You see, Mrs. Duckett is humble but inspiring. She truly makes a difference in the educational world, and it's an honor to be here to support you tonight. Mrs. Duckett, congratulations on being a finalist, and thank you for all that you have given and continue to give to education. The world shines a little brighter with teachers like you in it.
Next, we have Jana Mills, 6th grade math and science teacher at Irondale Middle School. Mrs. Mills uses real-world applications and real-world problems to connect math to everyday life. She also believes in incorporating all subjects in each and every one of her lessons. Her from-the-table lessons include instructions in math, science, social studies, economics, reading, as well as writing. She believes in a cooperative and collaborative approach to learning. Dr. Dallas?
Thank you. I was sitting back there and I just told Miss Mills, I said, I didn't prepare a speech. She said, great, just keep it short and sweet. She come to work. She does come to work. And truthfully, I didn't prepare a speech because I wanted to speak to you all tonight from my heart. Miss Mills is the epitome of what you would think a teacher of the year should look like or should be like. Every morning, I come in and I clock in. Dr. Dallas going back to your office, get your day ready. I've already taken care of everything. In the afternoon, hey, buses went great, Doc, we can go home. Miss Mills is that teacher. Miss Mills is a champion, not only for Jefferson County Schools, not only for Irondale Middle School, but most importantly, she's a champion for kids. Miss Mills, I appreciate everything you do. I know Jefferson County appreciate everything you do, and I love you. Thank you.
Ms. Lauren Moore, 5th grade ELA and social studies teacher at Snow Rogers Elementary. Please join us, Ms. Long. Mrs. Moore's life motto is promote equity over equality when it comes to the individual needs of her students. Lauren is responsible for implementing PBIS, which focuses on positive behavioral management and students' strengths. Daily, she incorporates cultural learning, discusses current events while focusing on the social and emotional states of her students. Now we'll have remarks from her principal, Mrs. Christy Long.
I've known Lauren for about 2 years now, and during this time it's been very evident that Ms. Moore is a very effective teacher and teacher leader. She does an outstanding job making relationships with her students and her co-workers. She has very high expectations of her students, but also of herself. I could go on and on about how deserving Ms. Moore is for Jefferson County's Teacher of the Year. However, I thought I would share some of her co-workers' comments when asked why she deserves this honor. Lauren is an outstanding teacher and strives to develop a community within her classroom. She holds her students to a high standard and goes above and beyond to make sure their academic needs are met. Lauren is naturally very driven, always seeking more effective ways to educate her students. Whatever Lauren is involved in, she always gives 110%. Lauren is an exemplary teacher, a bright light in the darkness, a leader, a mentor, and a beautiful both inside and out. Another statement was, Ms. Moore is a natural leader. She is supportive and inclusive of others and always listens thoughtfully to her colleagues. Mrs. Moore is an active participant on several leadership teams at school. She also takes discussions to a higher level with her insightful contributions to the conversation. And lastly, Mrs. Moore has a positive working relationship with her peers and always offers a smile and a kind word. Ms. Moore is well respected among the staff, faculty, and parents in Snow Rogers. These are just a few of the nice qualities of Mrs. Lauren Moore. Snow Rogers and Jefferson County are very lucky to have such an effective teacher instructing our students each day. Thank you.
Andrea Rowley and Ms. Bryant. Her principal is Ms. Bryant. Andrea Rowley is the kindergarten teacher at Grantswood Community School. Mrs. Rowley is responsible for Mad Science Thursdays with a focus on hands-on learning. Andrea believes that hands-on learning and student involvement are the keys to successful teaching. She dedicates her career to Title I schools, recognizing the need for early mentoring for minority and low-income students. Her educational philosophy is that a strong teacher can have a lifelong influence on the success of a student beginning in kindergarten. Ms. Bryant.
I have had the pleasure of working with Mrs. Andrea Rowley for 2 years, serving as her assistant principal and principal. During this time, I can tell you that I know without a shadow of doubt Mrs. Rowley is an outstanding teacher. She has a true passion and dedication for her students. She is intentional about building a positive rapport with each one of her students. Her students arrive to school with a smile and they leave with a smile. And we know that's hard sometimes to leave with a smile, but her students love her class. She begins each day preparing engaging lessons for her students. She also ensures that her students discover the world around them, as you saw her on her Mad Science trips. She has really instilled a love for science at Grantswood, and we appreciate her for that. One of the things that stick out to me about Ms. Rowley is when I think about my favorite quote, "The influence of a great teacher can never be erased." And I know that she's making a positive, permanent mark in the lives of her students, and we are lucky to have her at Grantswood.
Next we have Ms. Dana Shepard, second grade teacher leader at Minor Community School, and her principal, Dr. Mark Nixon. Ms. Dana Shepard has always wanted to teach second grade. That was her dream grade because of the acceleration in learning and growth that you get to witness with each student. Dana's philosophy is that relationships plus rigor equals results. She focuses on social emotional skills to ensure that each student is prepared for the daily lesson. Dana believes in collaborating with colleagues and finding ways to grow as an educator. Dr. Nixon.
Good evening. I have many words that I could use to describe Ms. Dana Shepard, but I'll sum it up in this sentence. She makes learning fun. I enjoy each and every day going into her classroom, and I often tell them, you all are having too much fun. Students are exposed, they're engaged and excited about learning. She's a very vital part of our leadership team. As you can see her smiling right now, she comes in every morning with that same big, beautiful smile. No matter how it seems or how rough it may seem, she's still smiling. She shares wonderful ideas with the faculty on a regular basis. In fact, as a school-wide project, some of the projects she instills in her classroom, we use those as the entire, she brings those ideas to me, and we use those within the school, in the school as a whole. Such as a literacy pumpkin project, a family reading challenge, and most recently, Wild About Learning Wednesdays, which she terms Wild Wednesday, in which the students come dressed in leopard attire. Okay, so I'm very honored and very delighted to have Ms. Shepherd join our staff. We've been working together since my inception there at Minor Community School for the past 2 years, and it has been a great honor, and I'm very proud of her.
Now we'll meet our finalists in the secondary division, beginning with Shades Valley High School's math and computer science teacher, Mrs. Ivy Bishop. She'll be joined by her assistant principal, Mr. Marvin Carter. Mrs. Bishop began teaching computer science as part of the Microsoft TEALS program that brings in volunteers from the community to teach students and teachers with the intention of the teachers becoming independent. She also facilitates an adult online course that she wrote for Ed2Go. She helps students to connect to engineering, business, and automotive programs at the school. Mr. Carter.
Good evening, JEFCOED family. I have the privilege and honor to share a few remarks about Ivy Bishop. You've already heard the amazing things that she does in her classroom, and she's also been in education for 24 years. My job tonight is to shine a light on Ivy Bishop outside of the classroom. Beyond all of the responsibilities and duties that she has, she's also a loving mother, a loving wife, and a caregiver to her father, stepmother, and her mother. Ivy Bishop also serves as a mentor to our faculty, staff, and students. Many times you'll find her in the hallway explaining assignments to her students or sharing her excitement about the student-produced work that takes place in her classroom. And despite us dealing with COVID and everything going on, she still carries at least 3 bags each day of student work. And she brings it in all the time to show it to us. Also, when it comes to technology, many of you may be familiar with the Geek Squad at Best Buy. Well, I will tell you, I will put Ivy Bishop up against them any day when it comes to technology. Whenever there's a problem, Ivy Bishop is committed to finding solutions, and she always is willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. Lastly, I would like to ask everyone in here to think about your favorite teacher. What's their name? How did they make you feel when you were a student? Now that you have that person in your mind, think of Ivy Bishop moving forward as your favorite teacher's favorite teacher. Ms. Bishop, we love you, we appreciate you, and we are so honored to have you a part of our Shades Valley faculty and staff. Thank you for all that you do, and we appreciate you.
From North Jefferson Middle School, we have Mrs. Allison Dotson, the 8th grade science teacher, and she's joined by Mr. Terry Henderson, her principal. Mrs. Dotson believes that students retain what they learn by participating in hands-on experiences that connect to things outside of the classroom. She started a robotics league in her school and county for middle schools as well as elementary schools. Her motto is, and I quote, "Students should feel emotionally safe in my classroom, and I encourage this with a respect policy. Students are asked to respect themselves, each other, and me. With this policy, they know they can trust me with their concerns." Mr. Henderson.
Thank you. The first thing that I want to bring attention to is we're not competitive or anything up in Blue Devil Country, but the first thing I want y'all to know is I actually have 2 teachers out of my building that are currently here. That's Miss Dotson and her husband, Mr. Dotson. And really, there's a point in that. One of the things that I quickly found out about Miss Dotson is she's more than just a science teacher. She's a teacher all day long, every day, all day. She took a computer geek and turned him into one of the best computer technology teachers that I've seen. So, Miss Ivy, I'll take that challenge, and we're gonna go Geek Squad afterwards. I did take my notes after listening to Dr. Courtney steal my speech. When I think about Miss Dotson, one of the things that immediately comes to mind is how much I trust her. And for a principal, there's nothing else that I can say that shows how much I appreciate somebody than to tell you that I have complete trust in you. If you want to know how much trust I have, she's the only teacher that has full access to my calendar, which means she also tells me when I'm supposed to go to the dentist. I trust her with my stuff, but I trust her with my students. I trust her with my kids. She has been the teacher of my personal child, and one of the favorite teachers that my personal child has ever had. I will also tell you that she is loyal. And what I mean by that is once she has you in her family, once you are a child in her class, you are now family. And she loves you unconditionally, and she will do whatever it takes to support you. The last thing that comes to mind is she is fierce. Now, she's small, but I'm a little bit scared of her. As a matter of fact, before we stood up, she turned to me and she said, "Be nice." So my response to that is, I know to be nice because I've seen her ferocity. I've seen her fight for kids. I've watched her walk into my office, and she's not going to like me telling this part, but I've seen her cry because she was so concerned and so worried and wanted something so bad for a kid. Miss Dotson, I am humbled to stand here. I'm more than honored to be your principal, and more than anything, I thank you for being my friend.
Next we have Miss Madison Harris, our 8th grade mathematics teacher at McAdory Middle School. But we'll have Dr. Monty Abner come in and share a few words. She was not able to make it. But Miss Madison Harris, come on up, Dr. Abner. Mrs. Harris believes that there is no student incapable of learning and growing. Her favorite grade to teach so far is 8th grade. Madison is full of passion for building a true understanding of math and erasing the fears that usually surround the subject. She believes that any student can build a solid understanding of math with the right building blocks. Dr. Abner?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. John told me I had to practice the 5 B's, and I asked him what that was. He said, "Be brief, my brother, be brief." So John, I'm gonna try to be brief. When I was thinking about what to say exactly about Madison, I knew what I thought, but I remember back in September when we did nominations for Students of the Year, and this beautiful letter that this student wrote on behalf of her. He said, "I'm nominating Mrs. Gary because of her extraordinary effort, skill, and care as a teacher, and care for the students in which she teaches. Ms. Gary is a teacher I've known for only a few months. He was new to McAdory, came from out of one of the magnet schools in Birmingham City. But he says, but she's a teacher I wish I have known my entire life. See, from what I know, few children at this school truly have a bad grade in her class, and it's not because of her work being easy. It is because of the effort she puts into teaching and working with students. She teaches through the entire class period and makes every moment a special one. She's always there to help, and even better, to guide students through all of the problems they face in her class and beyond. I believe Ms. Gary is worthy of being nominated as Teacher of the Year, not only for her skill, care, and efficiency as a teacher, but because of her compassion and care as a person. A few days ago, though I can't remember the day, he says, I went to Ms. Gary's room after the late bell had rung, and there she was speaking to a student about a very sensitive matter. I stood there waiting for her to acknowledge me, but Ms. Gary intently listened to the student who she was speaking with, not taking her eyes off of the person. To me, that demonstrated her care for the person who was right in front of her. She's not only a teacher, but one who obviously is a friend to students and to the school. No matter how many nominations she receives, I think she's most deserving of the recognition of what she does. So Madison has a calling to teach, and she does so really well and balances that with her role as a mother, or as a wife, as a coach, and as a youth worker in her church. William Arthur Ward once stated, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, and the superior teacher demonstrates. The great teacher inspires." Without doubt, Madison Gary is an inspiration to our school, and we're fortunate to have her as an employee at McDonald Middle School. Thank you.
Don't cash your check.
Oh, no, my face? Oh, that'd be great.
Next, we have Alex Lewis, the Social Studies, Holocaust Studies, Psychology, and AP Psychology teacher at Gardendale High School, as well as his principal, Mr. Shelton Dukes. Mr. Lewis began his student teaching internship at Gardendale High School and was a substitute teacher prior to becoming the Social Studies, Holocaust Studies, and Psychology teacher. Alex is heavily involved in the school culture at Gardendale High School. He volunteers with the Gardendale High School Marching Band. He is the sole sponsor of the Student Government Organization and coaches girls soccer, varsity boys, tennis. He's very involved in athletics. Mr. Lewis believes heavily in civic engagement as well and takes every opportunity to encourage his students to be involved in local as well as national politics. Mr. Dukes.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Lewis, I hate to take credit for him, but I did see his talent as a student teacher at Gardendale High School, where he has been. This is now 5 years, including his student teacher year, but I could tell his character as all the ribbing he took at the lunch table every day by all of our veteran teachers and coaches during his time at student teaching, and how he actually responded to them. So he's been a fantastic addition to Gardendale High School, not only as a social studies teacher, teaching AP classes, also being involved with the band, being involved with our varsity soccer team, and now coaching our boys varsity tennis team. Probably one of Mr. Lewis's biggest achievements is the student council sponsor. He stepped into that role this year after replacing someone who had been in that role for 20 years at Gardendale High School. Not only organizing all of our homecoming events, but also leading our student council in our Christmas Visions program. In his first year, raised a record of over $42,000 for Christmas Visions, which helped 120 plus families in the Gardendale and North Jefferson area. So Mr. Lewis's influence is much appreciated. He was also voted favorite teacher by our student body earlier this year. So thank you, Mr. Lewis, and congratulations.
And last but not least, we have Ms. Maggie Raspberry. Maggie was not able to make it, but we will have remarks from Mr. Andrew Reed, her assistant principal. Ms. Raspberry has been a social studies teacher for 10 years at Clay Chalkville High School. In her time at Clay Chalkville, she has taught a variety of social studies subjects, but she spent most of her time teaching 9th grade world history, advanced world history, and AP psychology. Mrs. Raspberry decided to become a teacher because she was influenced by one of her teachers. Coach Webb was her previous teacher who presented American history through the lens of current events. After Coach Webb's class, Maggie knew she wanted to present social studies to younger generations as a way for students to see themselves as part of the world around them. Inside of her classroom, students become real-world problem solvers. Mr. Reed?
Good evening. Mr. Lee asked me to pinch hit for him tonight. He wasn't able to be here. He wanted me to share a few words about Miss Raspberry. But first, he wanted me to send his apologies, and he wants to congratulate every teacher being honored tonight. You know, you guys are all what makes JEFCOED a great place to be. And we just can't show you guys enough the appreciation that we have for all of you. Mr. Lee wanted me to share this about Miss Raspberry. He's known Miss Raspberry for literally his entire teaching career. He was able to hire Miss Raspberry as a brand new teacher 10 years ago. He's been fortunate to have a front row to see and watch as she has grown into the amazing teacher, colleague, and teacher that she is today. She has the biggest heart for our students and maintains high expectations and doesn't accept excuses when students give less than their best. Maggie has been a huge asset to our family at Clay Chalkville High School for the last 10 years, and it's an honor to work with her. And I just want to add, I've been assistant principal there for 4 years now, and I've had a chance to work with Miss Raspberry extremely close. You know, people who are around Clay Chalkville know that Miss Raspberry is a rule follower. And as an administrator, I love it. And I know sometimes teachers or students may not appreciate that, but what I see in a rule follower is I see a model of consistency, and she displays that model of consistency for our students every day. And in that, I think that's what makes her a great teacher. So, thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. Please let's give all of our 10 finalists a round of applause. Drum roll, please. Congratulations, JEFCOED teacher, Come on up, Ms. Riley. Congratulations.
Wow, what a rise and shine moment. Anyone that knows me knows that I say rise and shine almost every day that I come to school. It's an extremely humbling experience to be standing here in this room with all these fantastic educators that have been nominated for this award. I'm thankful to be here celebrating alongside you and all the accomplishments tonight, and want to thank all these educators with a job well done. Good job. I'm honored to represent Jefferson County Schools, and a huge thank you to my Grantswood Community School family for allowing me to be the teacher I always want to be each and every day. I want to thank Jefferson County Schools, the selection committee, as well as the individuals that believe in me and inspire me to thrive to change the lives of my students each and every day. Specifically, I want to thank Mrs. Cindy Cornelius and Mrs. Sharita Hayes for giving me the very first opportunity at Fultondale Elementary School 13 years ago, and they continue to mentor me today. Along with mentoring me, I would like to thank a few very special individuals who have become my friends throughout these years and continue to guide me each and every day, even through the most difficult times. She's almost like a mother to me, Mrs. Frances Finney, Dr. Courtney Slaughter, who is a really good friend of mine, and of course, Mrs. Susan Remick. Without these individuals, I could not be the educator I am today, so thank you all for always supporting me. I want to thank my sweet students and my peers who have sustained me and given me strength and motivation, especially during these unprecedented times that we've all encountered these last 2 years. Most importantly, I want to thank my wonderful husband, who's sitting over there, Rodney, and my family for always believing in me and being the true strength and support behind all these innovative ideas that I come up with. And they just pop up in my head and I immediately want it to happen. And he and they always make it happen with no questions asked. Thank you, and I love you very much. Finally, I want to end with my favorite quote from Benjamin Franklin, who says, "Tell me, and I will forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will learn." I challenge each of us to go out and make a difference, because when we elevate our students' achievement and get them fully immersed in learning, students can excel. We can make the difference every day in each of our future generation. If we want a nation where our future leaders, our neighbors, workers, can understand and solve the most complex challenges of today and tomorrow, we need to meet the demands of dynamic and evolving workforces, build student skills, the content knowledge, the literacy. Then we need to have STEM fields. They're essential. We must also make sure that no matter where our children live and no matter what their social circumstances, they have access to quality learning environments. If we can continue to motivate children and find strategies to maintain their excitement for education, we would be amazed at what our students can achieve. So it's our job, the teachers, us, the people in this building, to keep our students motivated and engaged so their attitudes and behaviors remain positive and the concept of learning and education remains positive and exciting. Communicating this to you, my profession, and to the public is simple, which I say all the time. Be happy, fake happy, or go home. I promise you I will not just talk about it. I will act and implement it daily in and out of my classroom. And thank you very much, and I'm honored to represent Jefferson County Schools.
Drum roll, please. So for Jefferson County Teacher of the Year Secondary Division, Mr. Allison Dotson with Gardendale High School. Congratulations, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Dukes literally leaned over and was like, "Did you make a speech?" And I was like, "No, but I'm good at winging stuff, so maybe we'll see how this goes." As you can tell by my pictures, I don't take myself too seriously. When Mr. Huddleston sent us that email saying, "Send pictures of you teaching," I was like, I don't have pictures of me teaching, but I have pictures of me doing what all the kids at Gardendale High School know I do a lot of, and it's being involved with them in their lives, in the things they do. So all those pictures, just things that make them smile. They send me those pictures once they see them, and I'm like, yes, I was there. That's me. I know what I was doing. I believe that in order to be an effective teacher, to be a good teacher, you have to be present in all of their, not just academic lives, but their extracurricular lives. We all know that means a lot to a lot of people. So therefore, I make sure that I'm seen, that I'm there, that I care, and that I'm pulling for them at every opportunity. I think everybody in this room, March 13th of 2020, that day is very infamous for a lot of reasons. Starting that day, that's the day slipped your mind, COVID hit. The schools then closed for 2.5 weeks, and then another 2.5 weeks, and then keep going. So that day started for me a lot of how am I going to change my teaching. At that point, year 2, already started feeling burned out, and I was like, I have to change something. So what did I do? I started looking for inspiration in everything I possibly can. My roommate wanted to watch The Newsroom, which is an HBO show. It's fantastic if you haven't seen it. The main character's quote that he says throughout the whole thing is, we have to have a mission to civilize. And what he means by that is Don Quixote is on a quest to civilize society. My mission to civilize as a social studies teacher, especially in the chaos that was the summer of 2020 with the murder of George Floyd and the protests, how do I make history become relevant and interesting and not the thing that everybody knows as just the subject with the dead white people? That's how people refer to history. So I wanted to say, draw the parallels that were obviously there. That yes, this thing happened. This thing also happened in the 60s. Let's compare and contrast it. Let's make that mission to civilize something that means something to everybody else. Mission to get involved in some form of discourse. National, local, I don't care. Get involved in something. That's all I want to do. I don't do well with downtime, which is why I'm in charge of 4 things. So get involved in something. Prove that you are worthy of being where you're at because you are at all given moments. My other inspiration outside of the newsroom and the mission to civilize with the discourse and civil discourse came from my favorite historical figure, and then also my role model that I model everything off of ideologically. Robert F. Kennedy is my role model, that is my hero, that is my icon. He has a quote where he says, "The purpose of life is to contribute in some ways to make things better." So I took that, lead by example, make things better. Stop asking why and ask why not. If you aren't the change, somebody's going to be the change, so it might as well be you. Take advantage of the influence you have and make it work. So when Miss Adams, who was at Gardendale for 24 years, retired last year, called me and said, "Hey, are you okay taking over student council?" I said, "Mandy, no offense, but I don't really think I have a say, do I? Like, I'm under you. You did this thing for 24 years. There's nobody else that it would be. It would be me." Mr. Dukes called me into his office the next day. "Do you think you're okay taking over student council?" And I said, "I don't think I have a choice. I'll do what I have to do." My kids know now that I have fallen short of Miss Adams's type A wonderful personality because I am the most type B person at Gardendale High School. But they know that I'm going to try, and I'm going to be dedicated, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to put out for them. And I think that's what it takes to be a great teacher, and why I'm here today. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As we can always count on, teachers will teach. Mr. Lewis gave us a great speech, but somewhere in there was a history lesson, right? And you know, when I got here, I was looking at all of the finalists and greeting them and remembering where I met them somewhere in the district at one time or another. Y'all, let's give all of the finalists just another big round of applause. And whether it was Miss Shepherd, but at the time she was at Grantswood when I first met her, and seeing her interact with her students, or the young lady, I don't want to call names, that's Snow Rogers. I had to ask her, did I see you at your class outside the cafeteria at Snow Rogers? She said yes, because she introduced me to her class, and I got an opportunity to speak with them. And the young lady at North Jefferson, I never forget when COVID had just hit. I visited her classroom, and I walked in, and we were trying to figure out, you know, how to do the social distancing according to CDC and all of the the different things, and we were still trying to figure it out. And I walked into that class. My God, we figured it out. She had PCP pipes and plastic and everything else in the classroom. You remember that, Ms. Dotson? Yeah. I was like, man, who put this together? But she figured it out. I told Mr. Henderson, we need her at the district level. But, you know, I want to say that when I first walked into the room today, one of the things that was brought to my mind, or back to my mind, was the last time I was here. And the last time I was here was 2 years ago, March the 10th. I feel like I'm getting like my father, know those dates, right? But I remember those that particular date because, as Mr. Lewis just stated, right, a couple of days later, you know, COVID hit, and then we were shut down. And who would have known at the time, the last time we was here honoring our finalists, that we would go through a 2-year period of where we had to expand, we had to stretch, we had to change. But I am proud to say that all of the educators in Jefferson County Schools, they were up for the challenge. And especially the people that are here today, 2 years later. If never before, if people didn't think, other industries didn't think that educators were important, ask them how important we are now. Didn't they realize we were important for those 2 years, guys? That's right. We were important because we had to feed our children when they weren't in school. I still have that big old pole that Ms. Laura Valtierra had that she was knocking on people's doors with because she wanted to stay 6 feet away. Drop the bag and run, right? But she made sure that that our children were fed during those 2 years. I remember, Ms. Haygood, if you can remember, you and Ms. Valtierra, we got together. I don't know how many partners we formed in a short period of time. How many churches did we organize?
I think there were about 25 churches that got involved.
We organized those churches, and we sat in the basement of the Cobb, and it was like we were in Star Wars with the chairs all 6 feet apart. I said, please, somebody take a picture of this. We'll never see it again. Well, we saw it for 2 more years, okay? And we're still looking at it. But as you saw from the pictures, that our teachers, they rose to the occasion. They stood up to the challenge, and they taught our children. And like I said earlier, you know, if you ever wondered whether we have influence or people need us, you know, you ask our children who are on remote for about 6 months or so, when they came back to school, were they not happy to see their teachers? You know, when even during the time where we were remote and the children would come to get the lunches at the schools, I couldn't use the cafeteria people anymore. You know why? Because the cafeteria people, every time the children would come through the line, they were going up and hugging everybody. And so we had to get a third party company. And then we had to, you know, go back to staff development and say, look, I know you love the kids, but, you know, we don't want you to get COVID, right? We really didn't understand that stuff, but everyone stood up to the challenge. And so I want to just congratulate again. I want to commend all of the finalists on just a job well done. Thank you for serving our families. Thank you for serving our children. And that's all of the educators here. And I want to thank a special thanks to our foundation. Thank you guys for sponsoring this. Ms. Melissa, Deidre, thank y'all so much. We appreciate you guys for being that foundation to help us. I want to say a special thank you to our board members, even those that are not here, because I think over the last 2 years, guys, this brought out the character, the true character in all of us. And thank you for all of the other educators that are here today. From the central office, I can't speak enough, even today, while we were planning for this, right? Sometimes I just sit at my desk and I laugh because I'm like, whoa, we got some personalities in here, right? but they like, Doc, we got to make sure this thing is right. Dr. Rush was still looking at me crooked-eyed in the parking lot. I said, Doc, it's going to be all right. But I stayed away from her because I knew she had to see it, right? But again, I just, I'm proud to say that we serve together, that we fight together, that we educate together. And I want to thank all of our sponsors. Mr. Black, thank you. My newfound friend, Ms. Bell, and her husband. Ms. Bell told me that her husband was going to talk my ear off. And Ms. Bell never stopped talking since then. But I've enjoyed my time with you. I know she wanted it. But that's to all of our sponsors. Again, I just want to say thank you, because together we have an influence on people, and it matters. Thank y'all very much. And as I close, y'all, let's please just give one more round of applause for our finalists. Thank y'all.